Hello, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. This is Jari Salomaa. I'm the CEO of Valo AI, and this is the Valo Security Podcast. We are here joined by one of our early supporters, investor Mikko Hyppönen. So great to have you. Welcome, Mikko.
Thanks, Jari. Thanks for having me. Always nice to work together with Valo.
Wonderful. So, if you have observed any of the earlier episodes, we are talking about cloud security, SaaS security, business system security, and especially Salesforce. And as you know, if you have been reading any of the news around security around Salesforce this summer, it's been a very busy one. There has been news almost weekly, and the latest news, of course, this week has been around the Salesloft drift. So another application that now Salesforce removed from AppExchange, and unfortunately, many customers have been impacted. But throughout, even beginning since the spring, we have seen two groups, Scattered Spider and ShinyHunters, impacting many Salesforce orgs. And unfortunately, hate to say, our mission has been true, but I remember pitching 2 years ago to Mikko about our plans and activities around Valo, seeking investment, that many of these business systems like Salesforce are vulnerable to these third-party connected application type of attacks. With that, I would love to, Mikko, if you would like to maybe introduce yourself to the audience. So you've been one of our early supporters, and of course you have a very interesting career. You have worked in cybersecurity for many years, and now very recently you gave a amazing keynote and Black Hat, and also kind of wrapped up one chapter in your career. Now opening up a new one. So Mikko, could you introduce yourself to the audience and also maybe unveil a little bit your relationship with Valo AI?
Absolutely. And indeed, you're right, Jari. When we were having first discussions about Valo and what you were planning to do, the pitch was really easy for me to fall into, because the pitch was that criminals will go to where the data is, and the data is in Salesforce. Such an obvious thing. Of course, 2-3 years ago, attacks against Salesforce were not nearly as common as today, but it was so easy to see that that's, of course, going to happen, because we've seen this over and over again, year after year. We see these big trends where attackers will shift their focus against new platforms. And of course, they will go after the valuable thing. Data is the new oil, as we always say. And of course, much of our data today is in SaaS systems, and big part of corporate data indeed in Salesforce. And that's why it makes so much sense to build visibility for Salesforce admins so they can better secure their environment and see what's really going on. That's what got me interested into Valo. It's been fascinating to follow the company growing, and now, of course, it's in a position where the services that Valo provides are very much in need. And I'd like to think this is one of the lessons that I've learned over the almost 35 years that I worked in cybersecurity. Attackers will follow the money. Today, data is money, money is data. And that's exactly what's happening here as well. However, I've been working in cybersecurity for such a long time that I still remember very well the time when attackers were not after money, when they were after fame or, bragging rights, or just for the fact that they could create a worm which would spread worldwide and they would get nothing out of it. So the world has changed over and over again as the attackers evolve. We've gone from the days of happy hackers, which is where I started, to money making with malware, into completely organized cybercrime, and of course also governmental activity. And this was also what I spoke about at my Black Hat keynote in early August. One of my lifelong goals for my cybersecurity career was to do keynotes in all three. That's RSA, DEF CON, Black Hat. And I had done DEF CON and RSA keynotes already. So I was very, very lucky that I gave the Black Hat keynote on the last week as I was working at WithSecure, which is the company where I spent 34 years working. After I did the keynote, I handed in my badge and changed jobs. So I'm no longer working in cybersecurity. I'm now working with a company called Sensofusion doing drone defense. So instead of fighting malware and Trojans and online attacks, I'm fighting real world problems, mostly in the battlefield, as the face of war has changed thanks to military use of drones.
That is amazing, Mikko, and congratulations on your new opportunity, of course. And we are all excited to follow the company, and of course wish you very well in this new role. And all in all, very exciting times. Of course, quite negative times, of course, because we are now faced. I guess in your new role, also there's a war in Europe. These cyber criminal activities going on. There was news from the UK that they have arrested 4 individuals related to the Scattered Spider group. I think one of them was 17 years old, one of them was 19. I think a couple of them for UK nationals, one from Poland. But either way, it seems the group is rather large. So now, many people in Salesforce ecosystem, they typically are like VP of business operations, chief operating officer, chief revenue officer. A lot of the owners, we call platform owners of Salesforce, are not security experts. They are leading a business. They are their main goal is to grow the company, grow the revenue. And now for the I guess really truly first time ever, they are faced with a relatively new situation. They are organized groups going after the data. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but I'm behind the Salesforce Shield product, and Shield, of course, provide data encryption. And one of the things, of course, these groups have done is extortion. So they are taking the data and they are extorting to release it to the public. And now with Shield encryption, they have an opportunity, especially if now the permissions have not been designed according to best practice, or the concept of so-called least privilege, that you only see what you need to see. And these have admin privileges. They are able then to encrypt data, and there's key management. So the worst possible risk is that these cyber criminal organizations encrypt the data in a Salesforce org and then hold the data hostage. This means that then you as a customer won't be able to actually see or manage the data you have in Salesforce. Worst possible scenario. So I know you've been working in the industry for so long, so I was wondering, like, if you maybe, could break out that, like, what do you think, drives really these organizations? Is it this like fame or monetary gains, and what really why these organizations are doing what they're doing? They're clearly very successful in what they're doing, but over the years, what have you learned about the adversary here, and what should maybe customers, big international businesses, organizations, and now that have been impacted by this, both in Europe and in the United States, Australia, all around the world, should be maybe thinking about, and how to prepare for the new world now that everyone is introducing AI agents and even more applications. So what are some of the actions maybe organizations should be thinking about around these cybersecurity attacks?
One of the main mega trends that made these problems that we face today possible is Bitcoin, or Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. We saw the first ransomware attack asking for the ransom to be paid in Bitcoin in 2013, so 12 years ago. And when we look at the evolution of ransomware attacks or blackmailing attacks over these 12 years, it's changed drastically. In 2013 and 14 and 15, it was mostly home users whose Windows computers were encrypted by ransomware, and the ransom payment was like $200, so you get your holiday photos back, which is completely different from what we see today. So these groups started to get more and more organized. They realized that there's much more money to be made by breaching the security of companies and enterprises. It's of course much harder to break into a corporate network than into a home computer, but you can ask for much larger payments. And that's really what started what I called, or call even today, the cybercrime unicorn movement. These massively large organized cybercrime gangs which make millions and millions with their attacks. Now, most of these gangs have traditionally been Russian or from Eastern Europe. Gangs like Akira or Black Pasta or Lockbit or Play or Global, and they've been targeting traditional Windows networks. Break in using a vulnerability, which typically they find from a firewall device or a remote access device or a VPN. Think devices made by companies like Fortinet or Cisco. Once they're in, they typically use Windows credentials, gain access to Entra, and try to get admin privileges, and then find a way across the enterprise and then download email archives, document archives, and then encrypt everything. That's been the norm for like 5-6 years now. And they also invented this double extortion idea that they will encrypt your data and delete your backups. You have to pay to get your files back. But if you have offline backups, then they have also downloaded the information and they run these dedicated leak sites in Tor network. So if you don't pay, they will leak your files. What really is new here over the last year or so is the fact that we have groups like Scattered Spider, which are now going much more clearly after Salesforce installations instead of targeting Windows networks. And it makes a lot of sense from the point of view of the attacker, because they don't really need to be able to breach large amounts of devices and have lateral movement from one data center to another, one server to another, and get all these different admin rights from different users. If they're able to gain access to a rogue app inside Salesforce installation, which gives them access to all the data, that's basically all they need to do. Then they can encrypt the data, they can download the data, they can do exactly the same mechanisms as these traditional ransomware gangs have done. And there's one thing which sets Scattered Spider and ShinyHunters, these groups which have made the name for themselves with Salesforce attacks, which is that they're not Russian. They seem to be Western, United Kingdom, United States, European countries, and that also enables them to do better social engineering. They're native English speakers. They can call up people and pretend to be from IT department, from tech support. They can convince people to make mistakes. And when people with network access make mistakes, those quite often translate into a security breach.
Right. So great answer. So the introduction of Bitcoin, the monetary opportunity, and now I think the highlight you're making is that these are Western groups. These are from like United States, UK. They're driven by the monetization opportunity. It makes these circumstances quite unique. So going back to now, of course, we are, this is a great opportunity for Valo. We have been laser focused on this for last couple of years, predicting that these kinds of issues are going to be commonplace. But thinking about what can customers do? So many Salesforce owners are VP of sales and marketing, chief operating officers, VP of operations. They are running a business. They are laser focused of growing, talking to their customers, and they are using a CRM like Salesforce. They have core business systems where they're going to capture the data of the customers so they can focus on their revenue goals. this is also where I think the disconnect can be. They are not security experts. They do not think like these groups, and they also haven't been thinking like how to defend against this situation in the last few years. So what are some of the things, Mikko, that businesses should be now thinking about? You might be a global brand running your sales, or customer service, running your marketing campaigns. You might be a hospital, bank, manufacturing company, and you're running all of your customer data, all of the interactions, what your customers are telling. So a lot of valuable, sensitive data, even maybe regulated data, even maybe PII, PHI, data that is subject to GDPR in your Salesforce environment. What are some of the things now business leaders, boardrooms should be thinking about as this like a massive cybersecurity campaigns are in the environment? Is everybody should they be scared? Should they be now doing some reactive planning? And of course, we have now also a lot of companies who have been impacted. So now that you're being impacted, like does that mean situation is over, we just pay the ransom and we move on? And what are some of your thoughts around what should the industry do if you have been impacted, you might be impacted, you don't really know, but like to take action on this situation?
I've done a lot of briefings for leadership teams and board members, and typically these people in these groups consist of experts in strategy or in finance or planning or whatever the business area happens to be. Very rarely do I run into people who are board members who are cyber experts or security experts or have technical know-how. So then the challenge becomes sort of similar to the work of a translator. Like, how do you translate these complex technical topics and complicated risks to language and terms everybody could understand? And the way I often do it, which I've found works, is to talk about risk management, because that's what these people understand. And this is no different from managing any other risk. Cyber risk is just a risk. People, for example, manufacturing understands risks like fire very well, and they mitigate that risk in many different ways, or floods, earthquakes, other natural disasters. And if you think about the likelihood of your factory burning down or getting flooded, certainly that might happen. Depends where you're based. But you don't really have to worry about someone trying to burn down your factory every day, every week, over and over again until they succeed. That's not really a thing. That's not likely to happen. However, you look at ransomware, you look at data breaches, you look at groups like Scattered Spider and ShinyHunters. That's exactly what they do. They're trying over and over and over again, trying to find a way in. And once they find the way in, they will shut down your operation exactly as well as a fire or a flood. So should you take this risk seriously? Yes, I think you should. And the crucial question that really should be understood by the decision makers is every business is a software business. Your company runs on data. Your communication, your sales, your marketing is being fed with this data, the data which quite often lives inside Salesforce. If your Salesforce is down, if you can't access your data, you're not doing business. So auditing these systems, checking the rights for access rights and the rights that apps have inside your system is the solution, which sounds, especially to business decision makers, like an easy solution. Let's just audit it all. And you tell the same story to IT department and they will be crying on the floor. And oh my God, we can't possibly audit all of that. That's not going to take weeks. It's going to be so painful. How do we know what access right is actually needed? And if we kill that app that we've never heard of, are we actually going to kill part of the company business? And that's the exact solution where Valo shines. It actually gives you the kind of visibility you need to handle large amounts of access rights and to audit large amounts of apps, see when they were installed, by who, who's using them, what kind of data access they have. And these kind of apps, leftover old apps, which have been reused by attackers, are exactly the kind of mechanism Scattered Spider has been using to gain access to Salesforce data.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I'm feel so privileged to have you, Mikko, to support us from the early days of our journey, and of course now to support any customer in the ecosystem who is facing any issues. I would recommend go to check out Valo from the Salesforce App Exchange. We offer a completely free trial. See it for yourself, and stay safe. Let's pivot to the AI side of the conversation. So one of the big, foundational shifts in the ecosystem, of course, is now that not only we see us as human users, systems like Salesforce initially built for human interaction. So you have a customer service representative, maybe a salesperson, they go into the Salesforce, they are clicking records, they are updating, customer service tickets or closing tickets and opening up sales opportunities, but they are interacting, let's say, maybe with some dozens, maybe at the most 100 records a day. Then in 2006, we see Salesforce launching App Exchange, an app store, and opening up the platform for new opportunities. Something that we are now also seeing the cyber risk rising on due to the open nature of the app side. Now, last year in 2024, Salesforce launched Agentforce, and now the industry is seeing a very big rise on the consumer AI services like OpenAI and of course Gemini, and AI is just shifting the landscape, but it's coming clearly to these business platforms as well. So Mikko, what are your thoughts now that like AI, it is difficult to differentiate. We at Valo are specialists in analyzing logs to differentiate what is a human, what is an app, what is an AI, especially if they are they are accessing the platform from the same account. But what are your thoughts on now this AI, that we are seeing on the consumer side, but no increasingly in the business platforms, and what does that mean really for cybersecurity and some of the new concerns or opportunities also looking at these cybercriminal gangs as well as then the businesses. It's really changing the nature of these applications, and people are really there's a big debate in the boardrooms, in the security teams, also Salesforce teams. So what are your thoughts, Mikko? Is AI the opportunity of our lifetime, or is it also this huge security risk that we should actually now action against?
Nothing changes our world more than the technology revolutions we've seen over and over again. Revolution of connectivity, revolution of mobility, revolution of social media, and now, of course, revolution of generative AI. And every single time we get a major revolution like this, we get both. We get benefits and we get problems. And no matter how much we'd love to get just the benefits, we will get the problems as well. The connectivity revolution in the form of the internet was the best thing ever, giving us all these business opportunities and global connectivity. At the very same time, it changed the face of crime, changed the face of risks, and changed the face of war permanently. And we've seen it over and over again. And that's exactly what's happening now with generative AI. Now, I often speak about risks and crime, but the last thing I want to do is to scare people away from using the opportunities these new technology revolutions give us. My message is not to avoid technology or to be scared of technology. It's to accept the fact that all these revolutions that we see will bring us benefits and problems, and we should work to get the most out of the benefits and mitigate the problems as much as we can, but we cannot mitigate it all. And I do remain an optimist, regardless of the fact that I've spent decades looking at the worst things the technology revolutions have brought us. The spammers, the phishers, the attackers, hackers who break the law. Regardless of what I've seen, I remain an optimist, and I remain an optimist as it comes to generative AI as well. The stakes are high. The stakes are higher than ever before. I believe generative AI revolution is the biggest technology revolution we've seen, and it will bring us more benefits and potentially more problems than ever before. But I do believe there will be more benefits than problems.
Well said. One of the features in Valo's products are to evaluate how access control and permissions are designed so that organizations can kind of separate the actual humans from apps and AI in order to make sure there are appropriate guardrails for generative AI and prompt-based workflows to only access the data they need. And I think that is one of the features and capabilities Valo is pushing forward to ensure that then businesses are AI ready and the AI is also being monitored and controlled. But let's wrap up with maybe a final question, Mikko. So you had a very long career in cybersecurity, and now you have moved into this anti-drone business. And I'm wondering, are there some parallels, related to the fighting the cyber criminals now in the anti-drone? What remains the same? What is different? And could you maybe a little bit give a short briefing? What is the new company you joined, and what is their mission, and what are you excited about it?
Certainly. So I'm now the Chief Research Officer for Sensofusion. We have 60 people building a product called AirFence, which is a physical device, costs you 160,000 euros. You set it up and it will paint a picture on top of a map exactly which drones are in the air, 10-kilometer radius or 7-mile radius from where you are. It will tell you the name of every drone. It will show you where the drone is, where it's traveling, and where the pilot is. And the original use case for this technology was to make sure that hobbyist drones don't fly too close to airports. That's how the company started. Well, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the strategy changed, and Sensofusion is now one of the main companies building drone defense systems for the Ukrainian military as they are defending themselves against the attacks from Russia. So I effectively joined a defense contractor. My job is to fight drones. Right now, flying drones, but in the future, marine drones and ground drones as well. And I do believe that I'm bringing decades of expertise from a adjacent, similar field. I've been fighting programmable threats all my life. Malware, Trojans, worms, backdoors. Someone is writing these programmable attacks, and we've been trying to detect them. And once we detect them, the attackers try to evade the detection and change their behavior, and then we have to update our detections. That's the way it's worked in EDR and cybersecurity, and that's what's happening with drones right now. As we detect military drones, they detect that we are finding them, and they will change frequency, they will change the communication mechanisms, they will avoid sending any radio signals at all, so it becomes an escalation game. Just like we've seen in cyber, we are now seeing it in drone. And I've been fighting this kind of battle for decades, and now I will continue the fight in the world of hardware instead of software.
Wow, that's a great mission. Good luck to your new role, and of course, thank you for being an early supporter of Valo and believing in our vision. We really love all the insights you brought into this podcast, and thank you for being a big supporter of us. For anyone wanting to, maybe put a question, we're gonna link Mikko's LinkedIn information below. Feel free to connect with us, online. If you have any questions, anything you heard piques your curiosity, you can get in touch with us online. Mikko, just maybe a final comment. I know we are getting to the beginning of the fall and kind of starting summer is over, and you have a new job. What else you're going to be, keeping busy with, as we're heading towards the fall? And, is there anything you want to share with the audience on what's, you have a new job, of course, keeps you busy, but what else is going on in the fall, or maybe some upcoming events? Dreamforce is in October, of course, for everybody in the Salesforce community, but how are you going to be spending the coming months?
I'm realizing how much of work it takes to change jobs, because the last time I resigned from a job was when I was 19 years old. So this is all new to me. And since I am switching industries, I don't really have much free time to do much anything else at all except to learn about radio frequencies and drone technologies and electronic warfare. So I have no illusions I'd have time for anything else than that for the upcoming months. And that's exciting. That's refreshing for me.
Wonderful. So good luck learning and reskilling. It's always fantastic, even later in life, and getting these kinds of new opportunities and maybe finding some adjacent similarities with our previous engagements. But thank you so much, Mikko. Wonderful conversation. And if anyone is interested to get in contact, links are below, as well as then I'm sure we will see Mikko in some of our future episodes. So thank you for joining. Have a wonderful September, everyone, and see you in the next show. Thank you, Mikko.
Thank you, Jari. Bye-bye.